All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the All Pro Podcast. And we have a very, very special guest today with us. And this is Rhondy Weston. What's been going on, bro?
I've just been living life, man. Watching my son play football. He's at Mercer University and working and trying to do my thing in the community.
Oh, yeah. What before we start off with everything, what are you doing in the community? Tell the viewers what are you doing in the community these days?
Well, I have a scholarship foundation where give money back to graduating seniors there, and not just here in Port Charlotte where I'm at, but also my hometown, Belglade, which that area is. I played high school football there, grew up there. It's
Mhm.
kind of destitute, so it's my way of giving back because without that scholarship at the University of Florida, who knows where I would have been at, man. So I'm just trying to give back to help some young kid to fulfill their dream.
Excellent. That's beautiful, man. I came up the same way, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome, brother.
Thank you,
So
thank you.
I was looking at your highlights and you were a monster at DN. Well, I called you employee 68. I said, look at employee 68 out there. Yeah, man. So what else I wanted to ask you? Based on recruiting, how was your recruiting process back then as it compares to now?
Um, it's nothing like today. Obviously, you got the money with the NIL today with these kids, or a lot of them are looking at what or how much they can get. My
Yeah.
process when I was coming during that time, this is about the 80s. You're looking at you're just glad to get away from where you're at, especially if it's not a good area. And two, from the educational standpoint.
Yeah, man.
And I think before the educational part, hit me, it's like, man, I got to get out of here. If I'm ever going to make it, I got to get out of here. And once
Mm.
I got out of there, if I'm going to have success in anything in life, you got to get a hold of the educational part. So, that's why they came up with the student athlete. I'm certainly appreciative of that.
Yeah. Uh, I believe everything you said when it's coming from you because I see you played all 4 years at Florida, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and you lettered all 4 years.
Yes,
Wow,
yes,
man.
yes.
How did that feel?
It was. I almost came out my junior year. So I was looking at who was coming out that year. But, after talking to some coaches, go one more year. I thought I could be better and do more. And I think I had probably one of the best senior years out there. He ended up with 10 sacks and for a defensive lineman. I play inside and outside. So, and then it also helped to me to get closer to earning that degree.
Yes, sir.
And once I started playing professional, I went back after I was done to get my degree. So it just got me closer there. I'm certainly appreciative of that because my first year there, I got redshirted. I had an ankle injury there, but I'm glad I got that red shirt, so it gave me time to develop a little bit more.
Okay, so you also, yeah, man, that's what the kids need to hear these days. I mean, I'm glad we got you on tonight. So you played under Coach Galen Hall.
Yes.
Did he come visit you, or did the positions coach come visit you?
Actually, the actual coach who recruited me, Galen, was there, but at the head time, the coach was Charlie Pell.
Okay, okay,
And I had Charlie Pell came to see me. So every
okay,
school I went to visit, my senior year, I visit Florida State, I visit Miami, I visit Auburn, Clemson, and Florida. I've been to Florida several times. We had people there, and every
okay.
head coach came to see me. So it
Oh,
wasn't like a position coach. I thought the head coach was in my house.
okay, so Bobby Bowden actually came to your house to
Yeah.
visit you.
Yes, sir.
Wow,
Yes,
that,
sir.
that that's amazing, man.
Yeah.
That is amazing. What I mean, what eventually won you over to Florida over all those other teams like Auburn and Florida State?
Well, I for one, being that I'm from uh, Florida, you're looking at Clemson, you're looking at Auburn. I'm like, man, it get cold up there. I'm used to wearing no shirt and no socks, and so that was one of the ones that I didn't rule it out until the end, but cold weather was a factor. Florida State, Miami. I had one of my homeboys, Jesse Hester, was already at Florida State.
Florida State, yes, he was.
And Miami, I call Miami home because a lot of my family is there, even though I'm from Belgrade. But
Yes.
it was nothing for our family to go there, and I lived down there. So Miami was so close to home. It was a lot going on during that time. That kind of eliminate what was going on. It's like I jump out of one fire, get in another fire down there because the University of Miami the campus itself is in a spectacular place, but once you get out of there, trying to get down to South Beach and hang out, Miami, all that. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm doing another fight. So that was the thing. But my comfort level was with Florida. I've been there several times. I had one of my best friends that was there. I had several people that was up there. And I ended up choosing Florida, even though I like Bobby Bowden. And I even talked to Bobby Bowden years afterward. He's like, oh, yeah, you think Rhondy Weston from Belgrade and University of Florida. So I really love Bobby Bowden. I mean, he was just a Bobby Bowden, and at the time, the coach for Clemson, I forget his name. They were so homey, man. They came to my house, and it was like, man, I have to choose one. But and then Charlie Pell just was another coach that he was tough, but he was a coach that made me better, and that's what I needed.
Oh wow, bro. Yeah. I have a Bobby Bowden story I'll tell you later. So when your parents, when they seen you pick Florida, what was their initial reaction? And was there, when you go to these schools and you go away from home, but you already said that you had family pretty much there in Gainesville already, and it wasn't really nothing for you to go. I mean, how did they accept your decision?
It was tough. I think I never met my father before. I never seen my father before. My mom, my grandmother raised me, but I don't think no one in my family was a part of the decision.
Okay.
I think they was very happy. I'm going the first to go to college and to play football. But I think it was the ease of going to a Gainesville that if they had to come up to see me play, you're talking a 4.5 hour ride that they can get up there, And they went up with me on a trip. We drove up once, and they came up for games. My mom did, so it was a lot easier on my mom and my stepdad and people in my family to get there to see me to play.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. Oh, you said you came from Belglade Central High School. Legendary.
Yeah.
So was my high school.
Yeah.
That's Live Oak Swanee. Live
Okay.
Oak Swanee.
I
Yeah.
know.
So for the viewers, tell them some of the talent that they may have heard that came from your high school.
It was so much talent in Belgrade. It was just a matter of the outside world seeing what we had there. I think we certainly had people before us, even Jesse Hester went to Florida State, that went on to college, HBCUs. But I think Jesse Hester went to Florida State. That was the first major college player. And then that just opened the gate for college recruiters to come down there and say, you better get to Belgrade because Belgrade and Pahokee is right there. So you better get down there. So then after Jesse left, I had a guy that left, Ray McDonald went after him. Then Tommy Duhart went after Ray McDonald.
Wow.
Then myself and Lewis Oliver, Willie Snead went to University of Florida.
Wow.
And so that pipeline, even after us, we had Jimmy Spencer, we had Riedel Anthony, it was just going Fred Taylor. It was just on and on and on. So
wow.
And Belgrade was they always do this thing. Which city has the most player winning in the NFL? Where per capita it was Belgrade because it's smaller than Fort Lauderdale or some of the bigger cities there. But you go right to that little town there, it was more football players came out of that city than any other school that you can name there, because of the size of it there.
Wow, bro. You were naming some top notch guys, man. Wow. So when you get to Florida and you settle in and you think back on your high school days, did you see anybody that you played with in high school, and when you got to college you played against them, and did they ever bring matchup issues to you or anything like that?
No, that wasn't. I'm trying to think of. No, I haven't. No, I haven't. I haven't played even on the East Coast over there. I haven't. I can't recall anybody that I played against that I saw over there in Belgrade. It could have been someone, but I can't remember. You go and play, and usually if guys see each other, they talk. Hey, you from Belgrade? I'm from West Palm there, and because a lot of guys from West Palm, they went up north. And for me, going up north wasn't the issue. I'm like, I didn't have the clothes to go up north. So by us being in the SEC, we played mostly SEC teams and a couple teams outside of that there. Because we had back then in the 80s, we had Florida State and Miami. That's two non-conference games, and then you had a couple more you had in there. So that's about the most that we ever had
right.
As far as that goes.
That's awesome. So I mean, you said Florida State and Bobby Bowden were and Clemson were on the swaying of you, so to speak. After you listen to all of the recruiting, all the recruiting fiasco from all the coaches, was Florida still just in your heart, no matter what?
It was. Even today, I felt like that was the school for me. Certainly, Miami had so much success. Even Florida State had a lot of success, a lot of good players. And I always tell people, I say during the 80s, people always thought, and they don't know, like the rivalry wasn't between Florida State and Miami. The rivalry was Florida and Miami. Florida State still was playing good, but Florida went on probation, I think, after the 85 season. And then that rivalry with Florida State and Miami became so big. Florida kind of faded back. And plus, Florida was, they were getting ready to downsize the number of games that they were, where they was adding more games in the SEC. So they're saying, you playing two big schools, Florida State and Florida, that was too much for the schedule. So they took Miami off the schedule. We kept Florida State every year.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I was looking at something with Miami Hurricanes a while back, and I think it was Michael Barrow. He says, and I quote, he says, Florida took us off the schedule like some punks. I was like, really? What do you say when you hear stuff like that? Because,
well, if you look at the 80s and you see what Miami did in the 80s, we had those same players. So Miami couldn't, as they say, punks, they couldn't punk us. We had those same players. I'm from Belgrade. So you couldn't do that. So you had all those guys, Michael Irvin, Jerome Brown, all those guys. I mean, they from 84. We won the SEC championship in 84. We went on probation. Unfortunately for us, they decided that we'll forego that championship. I wish they would have took that championship because we earned it on the field. And then 85, we went 9-1-1. I think Miami beat us that year, but then we still went 9-1-1. After that, the probation kind of hurt us. So if he thinks that, so be it. But the thing that they did in school, trying to intimidate, Miami tried to intimidate someone before the game. Hey man, it would have been war on that field right there because that wasn't going to happen with us in Florida. That wasn't
I
going to
know
happen.
that's right. He was definitely a trash talker.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was definitely a trash talker. So you got to play with guys like Emmett Smith and other guys like that of that nature. What were they like as teammates? Because I live in his city right now. I live in Pensacola right now. Yeah, and I noticed you guys, Florida, recruited Pensacola in the Panhandle area extremely heavy. There was a time I looked at you guys. I think your quarterback was the quarterback from Texas.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. God, I forget his name.
Is it Douglas?
I think so. I think it was Douglas. Yeah.
I think he was one of the very few and yourself that were not from Pensacola because I kept looking at the roster for that year. I was like, wow. So why were they so heavily recruited in the Panhandle? What do you know?
Well, each coach had their territory where they recruit. Down south, Belgrade, one coach had that territory. And the Panhandle, they kind of have that board, their Panhandle, who got their area of Panhandle, because players were coming out of there. And not just Panhandle, going up to the Panhandle, you had Clifford Georgia from Tallahassee, Tony Jones from Tallahassee. So on the way to the Panhandle, you stop and see those guys, or on the way back, you're seeing those guys there. So it certainly was a lot of talent. That you can't just let Florida State get all this talent, because and I tell you that it's hard to recruit a kid for a school when he have a diehard school in his heart. Even it could be Florida State, it could be Miami, it could be Florida. If a kid have it in the heart to go to a certain school, it's easy to recruit that kid. It's the one coaches got to show that this is the school for you, where you can excel, where you can make it to the next level, the opportunity to play. And that's what's not being done today with a lot of kids with the NIL. And I say, go where you can play. You can only get better on the field. So a lot of kids get in the transfer portal now because they're not getting their playing time. Oh, I should have went there, I should have went there. Back then, we earned our way. We stayed there for 4 years and earned our way. You know?
They don't build them like you guys anymore. They really don't. So
it's different.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. You mentioned flipping or whatever, as far as kids are they choosing when their heart is not, let me put it this way, their heart, are they choosing their heart or are they choosing the money these days? Because there could be kids that want to go to Florida. There could be kids that want to go to Florida, but these deals, is the money enough to take their heart away from the school that they have wanted to play for their whole life?
Yes. Dion talked about it. It's only two coaches I heard. I heard Saban. I heard Dion talk about, say, if a kid come here and what is his opportunity for NIL? And they tell us that you need to go somewhere else, because the kid never asks what type of defense you run, what type of education I get when I'm here, but you're worried about NIL opportunity. It doesn't go like that there, and it's funny because my career was cut short in the pro 4 years. And, I went back to get my degree. So things like that can happen. Is prepare yourself for things like that. If your career is ended, then you're prepared when it's over with to transition into real life. And a lot of kids, they want to go to the portal. They're changing the portal too. You can only go so many times in transfer portal. Some kids go 3-4 times now, but they're changing that there, and they get a lot of money, man. You get the money there again. What's the motivation to excel at the next level? What's your motivation to be the best there? Especially if not getting the amount of playing time there to go to the next level, because it's certainly different. The next level is everybody's good.
Amen. So there's let's play mesh the generations. What you the NIL, would it have been enough to sway you away from Florida? But uh, I seem to see, I seem to know your answer. I think you would have stayed anyway at Florida no matter what, because like I said earlier, they don't build them like you guys anymore.
I would like to say that it wouldn't. Obviously, we didn't have that money, but at the same time, I remember after game, they used to give us $15 after game. That was meal money. Man, that meal money, that $15 was like $100, man. And we talk about that. I said we had the money they're getting now. Oh my goodness! But I would like to think that I wouldn't change my mind from. I love competition. I had to wait my time to get on that field at Florida. I had to keep working to get on that field at Florida. So a lot of kids don't want to do that there. So they want to go. They want to go to one school and then they're not playing. They want to go to another school. What about working hard to try to get on there? So it's certainly different. I know a lot of people probably would have took the money. For me, I got to say no. I wouldn't have took the money because I was where I was supposed to be at the University of Florida.
That sounds like the best answer I have ever heard in my entire life. Anything that you did not like about the Gators or Florida or anything when you got there or on your way out?
Things happen for a reason. I mean, obviously, we went through that probation period. During that process, it did not stop me from working hard, did not stop me from going to class. And I think my junior year, we ended up coming off, we went to a bowl game. My senior year, went to a bowl game. So it didn't change the way I played. It just, we wasn't on TV for about a year and a half. So if anything was to change that first year, 84, when we won the SEC championship, if I was a senior then, or if they came to ask me, I would have told them to wait another year because the championship was won on the field. And from what I heard, they got with the seniors, say, oh, they want to forego the championship. I'm like, no, don't do that. We won it. Go next year. And if you're gonna punish us next year. Because the guys that played, anybody in college football know 1984, the Great Wall of Florida, and what Florida did during that time. And that would have been the first championship ever for the University of Florida, SEC championship. And I don't see how, that's the only thing I do regret. For me, I was part of that because I helped a lot of guys prepare for that there. I was there, practice every day, did all of that. And my time came later. I mean, we didn't do a championship, but my approach to football never changed.
I can tell. I was watching you, bro. Your motor was so relentless. I don't know how you kept up that type of energy on the D line, because after a while, those bodies get to wearing down on each other. So, but you seem to have kept that motor going the whole time.
I was a big guy. I was a big guy. I always pride myself in staying in shape. Even when I was in high school, I was a two-sport athlete. I was a phenomenal basketball player.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, I used to play basketball with the basketball player for Vernon Maxwell, Chancellor, 7-foot center. And, they try to get me to come out there. I'm like, no, I'm getting ready for the draft, man. I can't mess around with this. My freshman year, I tried to go out there. But they said, no, we got to put weight on you. I understand that because basketball was my first love. And I have no regrets. I was just a big guy that can move. A big guy can do a lot of things there.
Hey, man. So was Vernon Maxwell as mean as everybody say he is?
No. Vernon stand up for what he believes in. Yes, Vernon did get in some trouble. That's a whole nother issue within Vernon. But there's a side that if you don't know him just on the outside looking, then you don't know Vernon. You just see what you see. But he's certainly a guy that And the way you were in basketball, he was relentless. He's not going to let you push over him. That's one thing about him. He won't let
Yeah.
you push over. Regardless you play football or basketball, he was just like that.
Yeah, I like Vernon Maxwell. So
Yes,
tell us
sir.
about your best game at Florida. Tell us about the best game you played in.
My best game, and I remember, I think it was my freshman year or my sophomore year. We was playing Georgia. I ended up with 18 tackles that game. I was all over the field.
Wait,
And
wait, 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 wait. How many tackles?
18.
For
18.
real?
And they told me after the game, said, you had 18 tackles. I'm like, whoa. But I was just moving around, and it's like, whoa, I'm trying to get these tackles right. But that was my best game for me. Playing as a Gator. Probably my second game is up there. We played Auburn. I just came back. We was playing Auburn, and after the game, the guy came up and Auburn off lineman came up and shook my hand. Like, man, you kicked my butt out there. And to me, that was respect. Even though we lost the game, that was respect to go up to someone else to tell them how big they are to kick your butt first. So I definitely respect them for that.
That's awesome, man. So 18 tackles, bro. I don't recall any Florida State guy ever doing that. So, now this is going to get tricky. So, what was your best game against Florida State?
I want to say either my sophomore year, junior year. I had a pretty good game. We ended up because after the 85 season, we ended up losing. I think that's the year. After 85 season, Deion said we're going to get y'all next year, and I said you're pretty much right, man, because we were depleted of players. And so I think that following year or my junior year, I had a pretty good game, but we ended up losing that game. I had a sack, I had tackle for losses, and just play hard, And I had, I walked out the field. I never hold my head down. It was just, hey, you did beat us there. It was a change of guards for Florida State, being above Miami for its talent wise. There, we had phenomenal players. We just didn't have enough.
Okay, so when at the end of those Florida State games, did you go get to see Coach Bowden and
Oh
say,
yeah,
"Hey, that's
absolutely.
awesome."
Absolutely. Well, a lot of the players. You got Odell Hagan coach there now. That's my guy there, and they have phenomenal game. After the game, Deion, man, we shake hands. What's going on? That on field stuff, but a lot of guys that genuinely know each other. Deion even come hung out with us at Florida, and it was just those things there that.
Wow.
If you don't know these guys here, because a lot of people say, "Oh, he's flashy." I'll say, "Deion is who he is. If he's a confident person, don't be mad at him. You're kind of mad at yourself because you're in an uncomfortable situation."
Right.
And he always said,
Up.
and that was Deion.
Hey, you got to keep up.
Yes, sir. That is true.
So after you finish your career at Florida, it's on to draft day, and I see you got drafted in the 3rd round.
Yes.
And you get drafted by the Cowboys.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
It was, they got all these predictions that where you're gonna go, guys. They tell guys. I'm like, guys, that's good to know, makes you feel good. I was predicted to go late. 1st round, so I'm sitting there, it's mind-boggling, and you hear these guys, and it's like, man, and it hurts, but what you do is use that motivation when you go to camp and use that to better yourself to get on that field. I had no hard feelings. I was just thankful I got drafted. It was an opportunity to help myself and my family there. It's time to go ball after that. You don't worry about where you got drafted. You just got to be ready to go because it's no joke out there, man. This man playing now.
Yeah, absolutely. So you go on to the Buccaneers, if I'm not mistaken, and then you go on to the Cleveland Browns. So my question is, why do you feel it didn't work out in Dallas? What
Well,
was Tom Landry was the coach still? I'm thinking.
no, actually, they got rid of Landry
And
before I
was
got
it
there.
Jimmy
Jimmy
Johnson?
Johnson even took over.
Yeah. So
So, and the situation was with Dallas, it was injuries. Like we
okay.
participated, it wasn't till I remember when we practiced in California at Thousand Oaks, and
Okay.
I didn't talk to him until we got back. They said, "Hey, we got someone we want to bring in." I told them, I said, "Coach, you got to do what you got to do," and I understand that, and the injuries there. So I ended up going to Tampa. I'm on my way back to Tampa there. So I ended up playing in Tampa for a year. So it
Yeah.
wasn't like I didn't have anywhere to play because I knew someone would come get me, and because Dallas had that big trade with Herschel Walker, they
Herschel
getting all
Walker, I
the
remember
players.
that.
So it was
Yeah.
a lot transpired with that there, and they're still trying to count their plays in Tampa because every place that I went was in transition. Dallas was in transition with a new owner, new coach. Tampa Bay was Tampa Bay. They had a good defense, but with Testaverde there, it was that the offense didn't match the defense at the time. And
Wow, Testaverde.
yeah,
He was there for a long time. I mean, so
yeah,
he was the quarterback. He was the quarterback when you came to Tampa Bay.
and he had his
Are you there?
okay. You hear me?
Yeah. Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah. Testaverde had most of his success when he left Tampa. I had a lot of guys I played with had success there when they left, and I left. They came out with something called Plan B. Tampa. I went to Cleveland. I love the way Cleveland had a phenomenal team, and everything just went to hell when I went there. Man, it was Pro Bowl guys went to the Pro Bowl because they played Denver. They was a game away 2 years in a row to go to the Super Bowl, but and they call it the fumble up in there. I was like, that's the place I need to be. And it just went to hell when I went there. The owner didn't want to play Pro Bowl players and who have new contracting and everything. They were trying to move the team over to Baltimore, started during that time. And
So
that was the
they were trying to do that back then?
Yes, when I went there. And, a lot of guys said, if they don't want to pay us, we're going to come in, but don't be the same team that he had before.
Wow.
And that's the thing. And then injury came on with Tampa. So that was, Cleveland. So that was 2 years with them. And my knee was shot then after that there. So that was pretty much it for me.
Yeah.
And I did try to come back a year off. I went out to a camp in San Francisco. That's when I really knew I was done because that knee did not respond after surgery. I kind of lost my speed and the strength in that knee, and it's like, you know what? It's time to walk away.
Yeah. So you on those knee injuries, it'll make you walk gingerly, and I'm quite sure you know better than I do.
Yeah.
So your Gators. Let's talk about the new style and your coach, the new coach. Well, how do you think he's doing?
I see some nice things that he's doing. Certainly doing a good job of recruiting, which the previous coach, they kind of lost in that area, waiting till the season over. You don't do that there. But at the same time, I do think that he needs to be, it's a learning curve for him too.
Yes,
He's
sir.
still learning. But also he got to learn a lot faster than the players to put the players in position to win.
Okay.
And the SEC is a big old apple to bite off of, from where he came, Louisiana. You certainly got to learn there. And I think defensive-wise, they're fine. But offensively, you got to utilize your weapons that you have there because the offense is so bland. And like everybody's saying, he got to do a better job of play calling and getting the ball into his playmaker hands. I think he will. It's one of those things where people don't want excuse me. People don't want to wait. They don't have patience.
Yeah, yeah. You guys, much like Florida State, have a
Yes,
very spoiled fan base.
yes,
So
yes,
yeah,
yes,
y'all
very.
want to win.
But if
So
they look at what's happening to look happening to him up there, he's having success up there now
yes,
in
sir.
getting the players in place.
I'll ask you a couple more things, and we'll get you out of here.
All
Uh,
right.
uh, your Mount Rushmore of all-time Gators. Who do you got? Who do you got as your all-time Mount Rushmore Florida Gators? You can
It,
put
it's
yourself in there.
it's I go back and look at things there because the time when we played was completely different than kids who played for Spurrier and so on. And I think when I played, the defense was created for our linebackers. And,
Okay.
you had Wilbur Marsh and Clifford Charles and all those guys, Lonzo Johnson. And, to me, I'm like, man, I can do what they do. I got to make something happen to get drafted. So as far as trying to compare myself to other players, that's hard for me to do.
Yes, sir.
Based on player success, I can put a lot of guys up there. Kevin Carter, Florida there.
Okay.
You had, like I say, Lomas Brown,
Okay.
offensive David Williams.
Okay.
I mean, it's a lot of guys that I can name that did really well on the Spurs because based off the defense. Because the defense that they ran, I would love to play that defense there. That guys, you get in the gap, just come off the ball. I had to do something we call a two gap. So I had to control the line of scrimmage and then make a move. I never liked that type of defense because it stopped me from doing what I can do using my athletic skill. But I had no problem with it because once I got in the pro, that's something I know what to do, and then just come back and work on getting up the field, there, which I got better my senior year with there. So for as players, it's hard for me to rank those players like that there. But, just off the top of my head, when you say Rushmore, defensive-wise, Wilbur Marshall, Lonzo Johnson, Clifford Charles, they was doing my era, completely different time, completely different coaches. But I think from now, the new age kid, they certainly have more talent than those guys there. They definitely have the talent there,
Yes, sir. So where does Tebow rank in your all-time offense?
I got to put him up top. I think from a skill level, there certainly were some guys that were. I think Warford was a little bit more skillful passer than he was, but I think Tebow bring a lot more to the table for running the ball and what he does there. And that was one of the issues in the pros was because he didn't have the traditional passing, holding the ball up where quarterbacks supposed to do. He kind of wind up when he passed and gave defensive back chance to break on the ball, and that kind of hurt him in the pros there.
Yeah. But he's a fighter though.
Oh yeah, I put him up there with Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie was short, but he was a winner wherever he went at.
He's a fighter. I would love to give you my Florida Gator Mount Rushmore if you would like to hear it. I would have Tebow there. Somewhere I would love to put Chris Leak there because one of those championships belongs to Chris Leak as well. So,
I agree with you.
Yeah, Fred Taylor.
Yeah.
Definitely Fred Taylor.
Yes.
And now that I know you are one of my 4 Mount Rushmore.
Hey, appreciate that.
You're one of my 4.
Thank you.
And I loved Terry Dean when he was you guys' quarterback.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. And Shane Matthews, I liked him too.
Okay.
But,
yeah,
man. So I just want to thank you for stopping by, man. And we're on Spotify. Again, we talked about it before beginning of the show. Tell everybody what you're doing so we can go ahead and get the word out about what you're doing and how they can contribute and help to your scholarship program.
Well, for one thing, me and my wife, we do insurance there. We're State Farm Insurance, and we try to get out and do community stuff with the staff there. And then we couple that with my foundation,
Okay.
It's called EAE Foundation. It's Education and Athletic Excellence. Is we raise money for graduating seniors. I think this past year we gave money to about 21 graduating seniors to help them out in help them out in college. So we've been doing that for the last 10 years. So there's no stopping anytime soon. I mean, we volunteer at shelter places there, but that is part of the process, what we do. And not just that, even Pop Warner, is the kids get good grades. We want to help them out with that there. So it goes a long ways with that there, because this all started from my hometown with destitute with money, but also if opportunity for the work where I'm at to help get money back over there to my hometown to help the kids out over there.
Hey man, that's beautiful, man. And we're gonna hijack some people and have them send some funds over that way for you too, bro.
Hey, appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Anything helps, man. One kid at a time.
Amen, brother. Thank you for stopping by. We want to thank you for everything you have done for the game of football.
Thank you.
I don't like your choices of teams, but
we
love you.
Hey, that's good, but we still get on together, though.
Amen, man. Thank you for stopping by. We love you. Tell your family we said hello.
Yes, sir. Stay safe now.
The same to you, brother.
Yes, sir. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
There we go. Oh, boy.
That was the great Rhondy Weston. Great man, great OG of the game. We loved him stopping by tonight. Please remember to, while you're watching this, remember his foundation. Go over and support it. Like he said, it's one kid at a time. Beautiful what he does for the community. All you Florida Gators, you former Florida Gators, go out and support it. Even you Seminoles, even you Canes. I don't care if you play for Boston College, go over and support him. He's doing something. It could be a kid, it could be a relative of a relative. Once again, I am out without my co-host again tonight, who's going through a couple of things. Y'all just keep him in your prayers. Brother Jody, we are with you, and we pray for better days. Once again, you never know who we might have. This is All Pro. See you next time.